Yeah, the only problem with recording the meeting, which go ahead and record the meeting, but maybe we'll address the pricing stuff at the end. Because guys, I do price comparisons every single day. I just got done doing it. I mean, I literally went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I opened up Las Vegas, right? And I pulled up Expedia. I pulled us up and we went side by side. The first place that came up was Harris Casino. It said we were 74% less. I go over to Expedia, right? And we were for the room like $200 and they were like $700. I mean, it wasn't even close. By the way, I'm going to be in Las Vegas next Friday night. I'm staying at New York, New York. I'm doing a training for De La Maria. And on Expedia's website, it was $480 for the room. We booked it for $178 exactly next week, right? I think that sometimes the challenge is that people don't know how our system works. You can't just pick some random hotel and say, let's price compare. Because the hotel industry in the price is all based on occupancy rate and things like that. So what you do is you got to go to our travel site and you got to choose a city. And I don't care which city you choose. You can choose, Chicago, New York. You can go to Miami. You can go to Cancun. You can go to Orlando. You can go to Los Angeles. You can go to Barcelona, London, Tokyo, Venice. I mean, these are the places most people are going. These are the major tourist destinations around the world. And you can pull those cities up. So you just go there, you put in the city, London, right? And then United Kingdom, okay? Put in London, put in your date range, okay? And then it's going to tell you based on the date you selected, based on the place you selected. We have 13 wholesale feeds that come in. Here's who happens to have the best deal at that particular moment. And guys, there's pages of the stuff, right? Now it starts off with the best deals at the very top, and then it'll go in descending order. But typically you're going to see something like 60%, 50%, 40%. That goes to the 30s, right? That goes to the 20s, and where you can still save some pretty incredible money. But you're now on page 3, page 4. And so there's tons of places to choose from. But if you say, I want to be at that hotel, well, they may not be offering a deal on the date you selected because maybe they're already full. And so you might go on there and say, well, there's not much savings or we're more, but that's not how our system was designed. The system is designed to find who does have the best deal in that particular city. Now, remember that when we do this, for example, like Las Vegas, Nevada, how many millions of people visit Las Vegas every single month? Well, I had a lady when we were in the world tour in Miami, and she brought up, well, yeah, but we don't have very many suites. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense because, there's not very many suites in most hotels. And the suites they do have, they probably don't have trouble selling because there's so few families like Larissa and Eager's family. They need a suite. They have to have a suite. They got 19 kids. And so they got 6 kids. But anyway, I tease her with that. But I mean, they got all those kids, so they have to have a suite. What that means is the hotel doesn't have trouble selling the suite. Therefore, they don't need to discount the suite. And so therefore, there's not many discounts on suites. She goes, well, but my guy that I'm talking to, he only stays in suites. I'm like, well, then we may not be for him. This may not be the program for him because he has a particular fetish or a particular thing that they want, or they have something particular. I always have to stay at this particular place, right? It doesn't mean we can't save you money, but you're just not really using the maximum potential of our system and the way it was designed. Now, when you look at the millions of people that go to Vegas every month, what percentage of those people are looking for suites? Maybe 1%, maybe a half of 1%. What percentage of those people say I have to be at this particular hotel or no joy? Again, maybe 1%. When we designed our system for the bulk of the market, and when you look at the bulk of the market, if I'm going to Las Vegas, Nevada, I don't care if I'm at the Hard Rock Cafe, if I'm at the Paris, if I'm at, Westgate Resort, if I'm at, there's the Virgin Hotel, I'm at Harris Casino. They're all on the Strip. They're all 4-star. They're all right next door to each other. I just want a great price. Who happens to have the great price when I'm there? So like next week, it was New York, New York that happened to have the best price when I was going to be there doing the training for De La Maria in Las Vegas, Nevada. I didn't care if I was in New York, New York. I could go to South Point. I could go to Harris. I could go to the Mandalay Bay. I could go to the Paris. I don't care. They're all the same thing to me. And that's where the bulk of the market is, right? And so we've designed this thing for the bulk of the market. And so we can do the live pricing comparison, and I can pull it up. When we get done with the other questions, we'll have to stop recording for that piece of it, right? But maybe I need to go pull it up and walk you guys through it. I do it every single day, city by city, pull up Expedia, their price, our price, and they're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And then I say, hey, can you think of 3 friends that might want to save this kind of money on travel? Yeah, I can think of all kinds of friends. Well, if you get 3, at that moment, what's this membership costing you? And here we go. But let's go back to the other questions. By the way, I was assuming everybody speaks English. Do we need to translate me and do I need to go slower?
No. We are good. I believe.
Okay. Okay. I forgot. We may have some people where English is the 15th language, you know. I'm always so amazed by your guys' groups. You guys speak 2 languages and 3 languages, and some are 5 languages and 7 languages. I'm always so impressed by that because I barely speak one.
Thank you. Are we going from the list of the questions, Larissa?
Yeah. So go ahead, go down the list. We'll go question by question. Other than the pricing, let's do the pricing stuff last, so we can stop recording and I can do live examples.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Todd, he's asking if you can just go by the list. So just the questions I texted you, can you just answer all of them? And then if they'll have more, they'll just ask you.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm looking for the list, Larissa, sorry. Okay, found it. All right. Okay, on all our presentations, we can say we save up to 70%. That's a pricing thing. Let's go to that next. When people do research before signing up, they find that the company was paid to save before the reviews are bad. So yeah, the company got started, guys, in 2013. So the company started in March of 2013. So next month, we begin our 12th year in business. Now, my wife and I signed up in June of 2013. Now, since the very beginning, the company's always had travel. Travel has been one of the staples of the company since day one. But the company had a mobile app, and you could download the mobile app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And you could save money at Walmart, PetSmart, Kmart, Target, Best Buy. And we also went out and had all the local merchants. You could, buy one ice cream, get one free. Buy one sandwich, get one free. Buy one pizza, get one free. Even at the wineries, you could buy one bottle and get the second one half price. Massages, buy one, get one free. And so we were like a Groupon type of a thing. And it was great. I mean, people loved it. Now, in addition to all that, we had these incredible, crazy travel deals. In fact, I used to, at the meetings, make comments that we have better deals than these MLM travel companies. We're not even a travel company. I used to make that joke all the time. But anyway, we were growing the business, paid to save, showing people how to save money with the app. Well, as the merchants got tired of giving out the discounts, the merchants figured out that this was not a new way to get customers. This was a new way to make no money. And I just want to remind you guys that Groupon was a phenomenon. In fact, Google tried to buy Groupon for $6 billion. Okay. Google got lucky that Groupon said no. Well, then Google went and started their own daily deal site. Amazon started their own daily deal site. So some of the biggest companies in the world thought this was a major trend, but it turned out to be a fad because then eventually the merchant said, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Now, Groupon's still out there in a few different categories, Italian restaurants, pizza, the things where their cost of goods are very low, and it's easy to give a big discount and still make money. But they are 1/10 the size today as they were even, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And so the company saw the writing on the wall. And so in 2016, the company pivoted, right? And so that going into 2017, we began doing the travel only. Now, we've always had travel since 2013. But in 2017, we said, hey, let's go be a travel only company. Now, we've always been paid to save, and we still are paid to save. The main corporation is paid to save. That's who owns Trevorium. It's the same corporate structure, the same off. I mean, it's Dave Hart. He owns the company. And so all we are is doing business as Trevorium. Now, we were paid to save. And as we grew the travel, we did P2S travel, which is paid to save travel. But then eventually more and more people said, hey, can we get a better name? And so that became pretty popular. Can we change the name of the company? And so it was actually some people at the corporate staff that came up with Trevorium. It's like travel and emporium. We're an emporium of travel. So it was Trevorium. They love the name, and that's how the name became. But we're the exact same company since day one. By the way, people like Daryl Maria Roberts have been here 7 years. Of course, my wife and I have been here the longest. You got people like Greg Warford. He's been here pretty much since 10 years. But most of our company, most of our field, when we decided to quit doing the mobile app, they kind of thought of us as a technology company. With, I got the mobile app that kind of had a certain connotation in their mind. When we decided to pivot toward travel, my entire team quit. My entire team quit. I was literally at my daughter's softball game in Peoria, Illinois, right? She was playing a softball tournament. We knew that they were going to quit. We were having a little event where we were going to announce all of this, that, hey, we're going to go pivot toward travel. I knew they were going to quit. And I was on the phone with David Hart. And I'm like, well, there's no point in coming back. They're all going to quit. He's like, dude, you got to come back. I go, why? I got my daughter's softball tournament. They're going to quit. What's the point in coming back? He goes, will you come back for me? And I'm like, okay, for you, I'll come back. So I flew back. We did the event and they all quit. And I lost my entire team. And because they didn't want to do travel, they wanted to be a technology company. And now they're slowly coming back saying, oh my gosh, well, I was an idiot. I was a moron. The biggest mistake I ever made, because the company has just blown up and exploded, meaning it was the right decision. And so Mark Robinson came back, Amber came back, Julio came back. I'm talking to Mike right now. He's coming back. I mean, so all these guys are coming back, but the company's paid people on time every time. You'll never find anyone ever that says, I didn't get paid by Dave Hart. You'll never find anybody who can legitimately say the company couldn't save me money. We've always had the travel. The travel deals have always been great. We also had the mobile app with Walmart, PetSmart, Kmart. And so we had something great. So as far as someone saying they researched and thought we had a bad reputation, guys, go research Walmart. You can find people that criticize Walmart all day long. My wife ran a Kohl's department store. It's a $24 billion company. And on any given week, people would come in and bring their vacuum cleaner they bought 10 years ago, want their money back. And like, we can't do that. Well, I'm gonna write your company up. I'm gonna shred you on Yelp. I mean, people do these kind of things, right? But if you go look at how many complaints we have as a company compared to your local Walmart, we have a better reputation than your local Walmart. I mean, the company has been solid since the day we've been here. I gave you guys a lot of history there.
This actually was really helpful because we need to understand how it was before. Great, thank you.
What happened in 2019? Did we move to a new concept? Yes and no. There's been an evolution of the company, right? We had great rates since 2013, okay? In 2017, when we rolled it out, we also had a $12.95 concept that we were playing with. But then over time, we began to add some of the other features. We had the trip incentive, and then we were in Puerto Vallarta on a trip incentive. I was there, David Hart was there in Puerto Vallarta, and I was basically pitching the idea of, kind of like the World Ventures concept, right? That, hey, why don't we, let people have 1 point at the end of 12 months, they can have a trip. And of course, we were there on the trip incentive. We were kind of giving birth to the whole thing. And Dave said, hey, let's do it. So everyone got to start earning 1 point for every dollar you spend, you got 1 point. You had to wait 12 months before you could use those points, right? And then at the end of 12 months, here were the 4 vacations you could go on. So there weren't 8 to 9 world tours every month. There weren't 480,000 weeks in the getaway, right? Here are the 4 places you can go, right? And we thought that was awesome, right? We're like, damn, this is great. We were fired up and excited, right? So anyway, well, then that evolved, right? Eventually it became 2 points for every dollar. And then it became, you didn't have to wait 12 months. You could use your points after 6 months. And then Dave went out and got all these new places where you could go. There was 2,000 resorts, right? And so, it kept growing, growing, growing. Well, in 2019, we did the first world tour ever, and we did it at the Grand Palladium in Cancun, Mexico. And you couldn't use points to go on the trip. That didn't exist yet. So in 2019, November of 2019, everybody went to the Grand Palladium. We had people come in from everywhere. We had them from Spain, France, Reunion Island. We had them from everywhere. And it was epic. It was unbelievable. Now, again, you couldn't use points. You just had to pay cash to come on the trip. But everyone being together at the same place, the same time, it was magical. And it was just so obvious in that moment, man, we need to have these kind of trips on a regular basis. So January of 2020, we make the big announcement, guys, we're going to have world tours. There's going to be 4 this year, 4 world tours this year. Okay. And you can use your points to go on the world tour. So we actually went out to promote the world tour. So we went to France, right? The first place we went. From France, we flew to Reunion Island. Then we went to Mauritius Island. I still got my Mauritius flag here. My Mauritius Island flag, right? So we went to Mauritius Island. From Mauritius Island, we went to Madagascar. Okay. Then we went back to France. Then Dave went to Spain. I went to the United Kingdom. And then it was March the 2nd. I'm flying home. And all these people are starting to wear masks on the plane. You're like looking around like, okay, everyone's got a mask on. What's going on here? Land back in the United States. 2 weeks later, they shut the whole thing down. The pandemic, right? And so we launched the world tours, the official version, in 2020, right before the pandemic. Now, here's what was amazing. We actually doubled in size during the pandemic. And people always find that interesting because remember, we have all those getaways, okay? And these are where you go on your own. 7 nights, 8 days, you can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, full kitchen, living room, dining room, this kind of place. And so we had them all over the world. And so if you remember during the pandemic, everything was closed. The movie theater was closed. The water park was closed. The swimming pool was closed. The skating rink was closed. The trampoline park was closed. Even here in California, those outdoor playgrounds, they had yellow tape up around like it was like a crime scene. So they got the yellow tape up around. Everything is closed. But the resorts were open. And so for us in California, remember, there's 30 million people. We got more people in Southern California, you got in all of Canada, right? And so 30 million people, we could go to Vegas. You could go to the Wyndham Desert Blue, place they built 5 years ago. You can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, full kitchen, living room, dining room. You could have food delivered to your front door. They got pool tables there. They got, foosball tables. They got basketball courts. They got hiking, biking. You could get in the swimming pool. It's a huge pool. No one within 25 yards of you. And suddenly people realize, oh my gosh, if I join Trevorium, I can trade in points. I can get out of this house that I've been in for however long. I'm going stir crazy. I can take my kids for 7 nights, 8 days for $50, $100, $200. And guys, that was a huge part of the catalyst that caused us to start growing. Believe it or not, the pandemic was a part of our growth. Now, from there, obviously, we continued to develop the world tours. And as we pulled out of the pandemic, people began to go on them. And every year, there's more and more world tours. Where this year, guys, we're doing 8 to 9 a month, over 100 this year. There might be 150 to 200 next year. And we're continuing to develop that. We're also continuing to develop aspects of it. So this year, we have an ambassador that's going to a lot of different world tours. Larissa's going to be in Hawks Cay. Igor's going to be up in New York. I'm going to, where am I going? Puerto Vallarta. We got Danny Segron. I think he's going to be in Sicily, Italy. And he's also doing the Canary Islands. We got ambassadors going to all of the different world tours, which is also going to create a new, unique experience where people can go there and not only just have fun. I'm at the resort and we're having a great time and we're doing jet skis and excursions and those kind of things, but we also get to spend some time with someone who's successful to help us become successful. And we think that that's going to be a huge thing for a big part of our membership. But that's something we're testing. That's all brand new this year. All right, next question. Any questions regarding what I've covered so far? Am I talking too fast?
I believe one of the question was actually regarding world tours, because some family with 3 and plus kids, they struggle to find any world tours that they can use, especially in Europe.
Yeah,
Same-
well, that's a tough one because sometimes in Europe, the rooms are so small that they only facilitate 2 people. I mean, that's not us trying to be punish you. It's the rooms are tiny. If you've not been to France, I mean, it's crazy. I think people used to be a lot smaller. I mean, the first time we ever went there, we rented a room in a hotel. It was 100 years old, right? And I mean, the room is like, I mean, it's like a closet, and it's like, wow. I mean, you want to put a family in here? What are you, nuts? I mean, that's not us. That's just the room. Now, a lot of times, some of the restrictions when you see on the world tour, it's not that you can't bring more people. It's the fact that there's food involved. And so, hey, the food only covers this many people. Because when a lot of times, a lot of our world tours are at the Grand Hyatt. Well, breakfast is included. Well, the breakfast at the Grand Hyatt a lot of times is $45 per person. And so we're saying, hey, breakfast is for 2. It's not for 22. Okay. And so sometimes you can bring more people. You just got to pay for the breakfast yourself. But you can always check with the hotel. You can check with the world tour desk. But just because it says 2 on there doesn't mean you can't bring more. It just means that the food's not included. Okay. Now, in particular, if you got a big family, you might want to check the getaways. I was doing the pricing again a moment ago, and I went to Florida, I went to the Caribbean, and I went to Cabo. And I'll pull that up when we do the live pricing. A couple of them had 3 bedrooms. I mean, you could get a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, full kitchen, living room. It sleeps 10 people. I mean, it's big enough for even Eager and Larissa. I mean, that's a pretty high standard. And so anyway, we do have those kinds of places, right? But the truth is that our family, we went to Cancun, Mexico. We took the kids down there for Easter, I think 3 years ago, and we got an Airbnb. There was actually a VRBO. So we're all in the air. We're flying. We land in Cancun, right? Everyone's excited. We have a car that picks us up, right? We had the black car, right? They start handing out drinks to people, and they're all kind of feeling good. So they're drinking a Corona, and we're in Cancun. We get to the resort, right? We had people drop food off, right? Because we rented this house right on the beach. And so we had people drop food off. And so we had the food, right? They meet us out the corner. We walk inside, and the lady tells us, sorry, the guy canceled your room about an hour ago. Well, wait a minute. We were in the air. How can the guy cancel our room when we're literally flying here? Well, VRBO says, oh gosh, we're so sorry. We'll pay for your first night of hotel, right? Guys, we had to search for hours to finally find a 2-bedroom villa, and we got 2 rooms next to each other. We had 2 bedrooms here, 2 bedrooms here at the Westin, but it took a long time to find that, right? So I know that the question with the big families might be out there, but again, there's not a lot of inventory from a pure hotel perspective that does a good job in that arena. I mean, even we were willing to pay full price. I mean, we're willing to pay any price. It was hard to find. And so, but again, you can check with the hotels. Sometimes the restrictions just about the food, and don't forget about the getaways, where you can get the 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, that kind of a thing. Short of that, you got to get 2 accounts and just get book 2 rooms. And so that you're side by side if you want to have, 2 rooms because you got a big family. So that's the only answer I can give you in that category. I'm going back to the questions here. Travel pack. Please describe detailed benefits. It's awesome. Okay, next question. No, the travel pack. We rolled it out. It's $9.99 because people always want to know, hey, can I buy more points? Right? That was the most popular question we had forever. And for years, the answer was no, 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 no. And so eventually the company did roll out the travel pack. So it's $999. When it first came out, you got 1,200 points. Then we got 1,500 points. And then you got 2,000 points. And sometimes I don't know if we give the company enough credit for how things have improved over time. When we first started and we were bragging about the program to become an ambassador, you got paid $140 a day, which means that you're earning 4,200 a month. You're earning 52,000 a year, right? Well, that's about 3 to 4 times as much as what other companies pay, but it's more like 3. Okay. We bragged about that. Guys, when you have 188 left, 188 right, you're making $4,200 a month. It's 3 times as much as the company that you're in right now. This is great. Guys, today, the ambassadors are going to make over $11,000 this month. The power up bonus, which we advertise at 1,500, the last 2 months has been 1,700. Larissa, I think it's going to be over $2,000 this month, or over $2,000. And so, by the way, I'm sure you got that. The Larissa, I'm going back to Larissa. You probably also got your share for the growth bonus, and you were probably thinking like, "Yeah, baby, that works, right?" Our average ambassador.
That was pretty amazing.
Yes. Our average ambassador made over $11,000 this month. Guys, when we started, they made $4,200. Now it's $11,000. When we started the $9.99 packet, it was 1,200 points, then 1,500, now 2,000. When we started, there were no getaways, no world tours, none of that, right? So I just want to remind everybody that when you look at the trajectory of the things the company has done for us, and they continue to do for us, they continue to roll things out. All of that stuff has constantly been in favor of us and making the program better. But the travel pack, you get 2,000 points for $999. You can buy the pack one time per year as long as your points are below 2,000 points. Now, why is that? Because the company doesn't want anybody buying the pack if they don't need it. If you got 4,000 points, look, go use your points, then come back and buy the pack. Because if you got 4,000 points, you buy the pack, you're at 6,000 points. We capped the thing at 6,000 points. We don't want anybody getting capped. We don't want anybody saying, well, I'm paying money and all the points are going nowhere, but my upline talked me into buying it because he wanted to make a commission check. And so we're trying to pass rules so that people don't get forced into doing something they don't want to do. By the way, when we first rolled this out, guys, we also did with this thing called double commission. Now, again, for most of the field, they're earning more money today than they ever earned on the $9.99 pack when it first came out. That we rolled out this little thing with double commission, and we go through a regulatory review one time per year with Kevin Thompson. He's the biggest MLM attorney in the country. He's like, guys, get rid of that. You don't need it. And Dave Hart got rid of it. He's a guy that listens to his attorneys. And when they tell him, hey, this is the better way to do it, we don't want any kind of an enticement. We don't want anyone thinking they were forced into doing it or they had to buy it so they could get more money in the comp plan. They've done this thing as clean as you can possibly do it. So it's $9.99. You get 2,000 points. Of course, you can use those points on getaways or world tours. Most of our world tours are 1,500. Some can be as much as 2,000, but you're basically getting one trip to 1.3 trips with those 2,000 points. If you buy them with business intent, you guys are all Canada, so you got Revenue Canada up there, which is very similar to the IRS. If you buy them with business intent, why'd you buy them? Well, so one, I can demonstrate the pricing and the getaways, because when you first sign up, and this is a pet peeve of mine, I just got done talking to Dave about this 2 days ago. Me and Danny Seguinal were both at his house until 2 a.m. Monday night. Yeah, 2 a.m. And we're like, man, when you get in the getaways, right? Unless you have points, they don't look so good, right? When you get points, then you see all the places you can go for nothing. But initially, people don't have points. And so, guys, whenever I'm going on world tours and getaways, if I get below 2,000 points, I go spend $9.99. Why? Because I want to make sure every time I'm doing pricing demonstrations, I'm able to show people the best price. Further, a lot of times you want to go on a trip. I mean, we went on trips in the early days just to show people, hey, we're on the Trevorium trip. If you go there with business intent, I want to video the place, right? I want to actually have the experience so I can come back and build my business, launch my business. Now, don't think that's a requirement. It's not. We got people gone ambassador around here, never been on a trip. But if you go there with the intent, well, then it can become a tax deductible thing. My point is that the $9.99 can become tax deductible. And then, yes, we do pay commissions on the $9.99. And I do have a whole entire recorded video on the commission breakdown and how that works. And I'm happy to send that, guys, to you. We can break that down so you can understand the coded model with the commissions. I think I missed a question. The free trip incentive. This was an incredible thing that came to our company. The trip incentive, you get one per year, and that has expanded. Initially, that trip incentive in the United States, there was about a half a dozen places. There were like 3 other countries. Our Latin America team couldn't even use most of it. They had to go to the ones in Mexico only, and they had to pay money. I mean, they had to pay a bunch of money up front. It wasn't even, they couldn't even do what we could do with the States. but they've expanded that program now where there's 35 countries, there's 29 or 28 different states just in the United States where you can go. There's multiple places in Mexico. I know that Sergey, I don't know if you guys have met Sergey and Vera, they're brand new ambassadors, but they just got back from a world tour in Puerto Vallarta. So they went to the Grand Palladium. That was the world tour. They were there for $29, all the food, all the beverages, alcohol or otherwise, everything included, right? Well, then after they were done with the world tour, they used the trip incentive and they got upgraded to the 5-Diamond Secrets Resort. Again, all the food, all the drinks, everything included. I think they paid like $400 and they were there 7 days. I mean, so if you start doing the math on that, I mean, they spent 5 days plus 7 days, they spent 12 days at 4 and 5 diamond type properties, oceanfront, all the food, all the drinks, everything included. And they paid a total of 400 plus 29 or whatever it was. I mean, less than $500. And so the trip incentives are great when you want to combine trips. I'll give you another example, Thailand. We have a place in Thailand right now. If you guys have looked at the world tour there, well, if you go price that particular place on Expedia is like $2,800. With our instant savings, you can buy that trip for like $995 without points. I mean, you're saving almost $1,800 with no points. I don't have any points. I'm still saving $1,800. Now, if I apply points, I can buy it down all the way to $129. And I'm going to be there 7 days in Thailand. 5-star resort, not 4, 5-star resort, breakfast included. Now, there's also a trip incentive to Thailand. It's 8 days. It's also a 5-star. We've had multiple people go and rave about the trip in Thailand, right? So you can be in Thailand for 2 weeks for less than $300. And so sometimes what you guys want to learn to do is combine the trips, right? When Gene and I last year, we went to the world tour in Barcelona. Well, guess what? We're going to go into Barcelona. We decided to fly over a few days early and we went to Venice, Italy. We used our travel portal and we got a room 55% off. We hung out in Venice for a few days. And then it was time we flew to the world tour in Barcelona. We left the world tour in Barcelona. We went to the world tour in Athens, Greece. And so we kind of bounce from one thing to the next thing. You kind of learn how to combine it. I'll use the travel portal here, a getaway there. I'll flow that into the world tour. Maybe I got to get another room, because it's going to be 2 days before the world tour starts. But especially when you're flying all the way to Thailand or all the way to Europe, you're like, hey, I want to visit a few things while I'm here. And I'll give you guys an example. I'm going to go with Igor to Kazakhstan. We're going to be there April 16th or something like that. Anyway, when we're done, the day we're done doing meetings, the next day was the world tour in Dubai. Well, I've never been to Dubai, and it happens to be next door. I mean, I've flown 18 hours to be here. We're going to check some things out on this side of the world. So we're going to go to Dubai, right? I booked it for $49. Well, guess what else is over there? The Maldives. I've never been to the Maldives. So we found a place like 46% off. We're going to the Maldives, right? We're going to get the little private bungalow right above the water. We're going to sit in our hut and, and party for a few days because there's no business. And then from there, it's a 21 or 22-hour flight back to California. Now, I ain't feeling so good about that. Guess what? I've never been to Singapore. So I can fly to Singapore, which is 8 hours away, spend a couple of days in Singapore. I heard it's beautiful, right? Have some fun there. And then we just catch a 14-hour flight back to California. So guys, all we're doing is combining some little things. Now, here's what's cool. We're going to go to Kazakhstan via Europe, and we're going to come home via Asia. We will have circled the globe on that trip. Now, when we're done with that trip, I go to my niece's graduation. That's in May. And then I got to turn around. I'm going to Monaco, and I'm going to be there with Danny Segwell and a bunch of people in Monaco. Then we're going to do a big event in Nice. Now, the moment the event is done in Nice, guess what happens the next day? The world tour in Sicily, Italy. Now, I'm going to tell you, by the way, you're going to love this, Larissa. We were talking to Dave Hart, and me and Danny are both going to the Sicily. He's like, well, tell you what, why don't you guys do a training there, and I'll pick up the room for you. Well, I was going to trade points to get the room, but I guess we're going to do a training there, and now we're going to Sicily, Italy, all inclusive, all the food, all the drinks, and we're probably not even using points because Dave Hart says if you'll do the training, I'll cover it for you. I mean, this is the kind of guy he is. So we're going to Sicily, Italy. When we're done, we're going to have our daughter and our grandkids meet us in Rome, and we're going to take them, to all the things you do in Rome, right? And so this is our trip right after that trip. And then, of course, we'll be back for the big event in July. so you guys can learn to kind of combine the trips. You got to go from one thing to the next thing. You just kind of got to look at the map and say, hey, where have we been? Where have we not been? What date's that starting? Are there any getaways? Check the trip incentive. Hey, what are the getaway or the travel site looking like? But if you guys kind of plan it right, you're going to come back and say, oh my gosh, we were over there in Thailand for 14 days for less than $300. We were in, Puerto Vallarta, like Sergey and Vera. We were there for 12 days for less than $500, all the food, all the drinks. And people are like, that's the kind of story you want to build. So again, the trip incentives are incredible. And it's a nice addition the company's had because obviously people can book those right away. You have to wait 2 weeks before you can book, and you got to book 30 days in advance. But somebody who joins the company today could literally be on a vacation 45 days from today for virtually nothing. Now, remind you guys, you can obviously use the travel site unlimited. And if you guys are combing that travel site, guys, there's stuff on there all the time. 70% off, 80% off, 60% off, 50%. I mean, there's unbelievable deals just on the travel site. That doesn't require points. You can do that unlimited, right? And then, from there, you can also book the world tours. You don't have to have points. Like that trip in Thailand, I have no points. That doesn't matter. I'm still saving $1,800. Let's go. I mean, so sometimes you just book it even without points, and you can book unlimited world tours. You're not limited how many you can take. You're just limited on how many you can get for almost next to nothing based on how many points you get per month. All right.
Sounds amazing, but some of us still have a full-time job. One day we are gonna be
temporary. That's a temporary thing. And let me remind you guys that my wife managed a Kohl's department store for 20 years. Okay. We've been with the company for 10 years. My wife only quit her job 2 years ago. So before we were a little more limited, or sometimes she would come for the front part and she'd have to go home. And then maybe I would go on one more trip if it was business wise. But obviously we got our income to the place where it was almost 10 times as much as she was making as a manager at Kohl's. And it just became ridiculous that she was still there. I'm one of those people, I don't want to get, yeah, but money, honey, you make a lot of money. I don't want to give that money up. Anyway, so she's like, I'm quitting. All right, fine. She quits. And so anyway, but obviously we've already replaced her income 2 to 3 times over since she quit. But so all of you, if you desire that, we're going to help you build a business that can replace your income where you work, right? And that way you guys can do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, anytime you want. Now, I want to replace another misnomer. So many people say, and they say, well, if you get in early, that's who makes all the money. Well, Todd, you were there 10 years ago. Do you know who the number 2 income earner in the company was last month? Larissa. I don't even know if she knows that. Even more than Eager. Larissa, you made more than Eager last month.
Really?
You were the number
That's
2
for me.
income earner in the company last month.
Larissa, congrats.
Thank you. I
Because
have the best team.
you crushed it. You crushed it with all of the leadership bonuses, right? And so, and other than there was a bunch of French gals right after you and that kind of thing. But you had an up month, right? A big uptick. And I mean, she did great. I mean, a lot of our top income earners in the company have joined the company in the last, by the way, go back to 2020, the world tours, as those are developed, as we come out of the pandemic, you guys could not pick a better time to join the company. If you joined back when I joined in 2013, there was a lot of bumpy road ahead of you, including my entire team quitting, right, in 2016 because they didn't like the fact we were going to become a travel company. And so they all quit. I mean, that's a pretty bumpy road. How many of you would say, well, let's go build it one more time? Or how many are like, okay, I'm done, right? I mean, be glad you didn't join back then. Be glad you didn't join back in 2017 when there was no getaways, no world tours. It was only $4,000 a month for ambassadors, right? I mean, you're joining at the most perfect time when there's income validity. We're in 64 countries. The company's going to its 12th year. By the way, there's a possibility, give you guys more inside info here. Dave's probably either going to buy a building for the home office or we're going to take over the Wells Fargo building. Okay. One of the two. By the way, the Wells Fargo building has a vault in it, huge vault. I go, you got to leave the vault. Leave the vault. You can't, don't take the vault out. He was going to have him take it out. I go, no, leave the vault. I go, we'll do like this is where the secret stuff happens, right? It's behind the vault. Anyway, we were making all kinds of jokes with the vault. But if he does that, there's a good chance one time per month, we're going to let people fly in. You can tour the home office. We're going to do a meeting. There's going to be food. Obviously, Dave Hart will be there. I'll be there. A lot of our, Daniel Maria Roberts, a lot of our leaders are going to be there. one time per month when we get in the new home office, you guys can start coming out, right? And so that's something new we're going to do, guys. I've seen people blow their business up. Andy Lakey, he's a guy that lived here in the same town as me. He made millions of dollars with a company called YTB Travel. And you would never have this guy do a presentation, ever. You would never say, hey, Andy, come do a presentation. I mean, he'd be 10 minutes in. Hey, Andy, sit down. I got it from here. How did the guy make millions? He did one thing. He did a great job of getting people to fly in for the home office tour, right? He had people coming in. They got to see the whole thing like, oh my gosh, this is great. And they went back and they blew it up, right? My buddy, Colonel Alan Sickman. Again, he's another guy. And I'm going to do my Colonel Alan invitation. Pretend he was here presenting Trevorium. We want to welcome all of you today. You're going to learn about our company. We're doing things in travel, helping people save money. We've got 13 wholesale feeds that come in. It's an aggregate site, but it's a dynamic site where you can select various hotel options and things of that nature. You're like, dude, you're killing me. Sit down, right? I mean, I love the Colonel, right? I mean, he's like a brother to me. And by the way, the Colonel, he got up to $150,000 per month, okay? And he sold his business to Greg Norman, the golfer from Australia, for $2.5 million. The guy's made millions. You're thinking, how did that guy make millions? He was great at building for the events, right? When you guys learn the skill set, okay, there's a lot of different ways to make money. Whether you're a good presenter, you're just good at getting people on three-ways, you're good at building for the events, you're good at the follow-up. I mean, Dave Hart himself would tell you that there's a lot of people that in this industry that might have a more natural skill set than he did, but that nobody took more action than him. Nobody followed up more than him. Nobody made more. I mean, he was just a guy that took action. Eager's a guy that takes action. Larissa's a lady that takes action. And it's the action that makes you the money, not all the skill and the this and the that, right? So I digress there. I got off track. What was the question to begin with? We were doing
Actually,
travel pack. We did.
Incentive and yeah. And Todd, we have another question regarding trip incentive. It's an
Sure.
our partners Redeem Vacation.
Uh-huh.
And if we have any issues with Redeem Vacation, how we can escalate the issue if like it's not helpful? They just cancel the trip and they give us a refund, but it's not a deal because the flight tickets. How we can escalate the issue maybe with Trevor?
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's not through our company, so we can't control what they do. They're a separate company. They got their own rules, their own policies, right? And guys, it's been, don't get me wrong, they're like anything. I don't care if you're married or what company you're part of, right? Everyone's kind of got their little blemish, right? Oh, I love my partner, but there's just one thing they do that drives me. I mean, we all have that thing, right? Well, Redeem Vacations has been really, really, really incredible in so many different ways. They're an absolute blessing, but like anything, they're a separate entity. It's a little goofy. You got to pay the money before you know the date. It kind of creates some frustration. And sometimes there's these little mishaps that happen, right? But they've been a huge asset. But whatever issues you have, unfortunately, you have to resolve them through them because they are a separate company. And so you have to go through them to try to resolve the issue. And I understand sometimes flights happen, but I mean, guys, sometimes that's just life. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when you're in the travel business, right, your friend thinks it's your responsibility because their flight got canceled or they missed their thing. Guys, when I was in Athens, Greece last year, they had a huge strike. There was a railroad accident. And so there was a safety issue. The entire transportation industry of Athens, Greece striked. So no flights left that day. And it was the day we were supposed to fly back for the event to be in San Antonio, Texas, where I was going to meet Eager for the first time. I was supposed to speak at the event. They canceled the flights. There was not a single flight leaving that day, right? So who's going to make this right for me? Nobody. In fact, I had to pay for an extra room of hotel. No one reimbursed me for that. I then had to catch a flight, catch a different connection flight. I got to New Jersey. We stayed at this crappy Hampton. It was, I mean, most Hamptons are nice. This one was not very nice. It was the one right next to the hotel. And guys, we got there. We were so tired. The guy's like, it's like $30 to take me a half mile. I'm like, fine, do it. Right. I mean, I just want to get to the hotel because we knew we were only going to get 5 hours sleep before we had to turn around and get on another flight. Right. Who do you think paid for that hotel? Nobody. That was on us. We then get to the event. We missed the entire day event. We barely walk in and get to our room. We got to go like put, like try to pretend like we're showered and fresh. We had to put on a suit, nice clothes, and go downstairs and meet everybody. Right. I mean, this is just the travel business. People don't make it up to you. In fact, we were flying back from my brother's wedding, and we connected through Las Vegas. So we're coming back from Louisville, Kentucky. We land in Vegas. We're looking for our connection flight, which is going to take us to Ontario, California. We get there. Sorry, your flight's been canceled. Okay, it's Vegas. Sounds good to me. Where's our bags? Sorry, you can't have your bags. What do you mean I can't have my bags? You said my flight's canceled. If my flight's canceled, that means my bags are not on an airplane. They're here. We know, but we're going to send your bags out on the next plane that goes out. Wait a minute. Hold on. You're going to send my bags to Ontario, California, but you're telling me you can't send me until a day from now? That's correct, sir. Are you kidding me? So anyway, I'm not going to stay in Vegas if I got no bags, right? Should we get the mute here? All right, there we go. So I'm not going to stay in Las Vegas, Nevada if I got no bags, right? So I ended up having to go over and get a different flight, okay? And we were in Ontario, California. They found me a flight to Orange County, to John Wayne Airport, okay? So I fly to John Wayne Airport, and I'm super nice, no big deal. I even made the joke to them. I go, hey, we're going to at least get some free drink tickets, right? Sorry, no, but you can email our office if you like. It's like, wow, okay. So I fly to Orange County, John Wayne Airport. I then have to hire a Lyft to drive me to Ontario, California to pick up my bags. Who did anybody make it up to me on the no? This when you're traveling, guys, when things happen, sometimes you take the hit, right? And that's just real life, right? No one was going to make that up to me. It wasn't Trevorium's fault, Dave Hurt's fault, it wasn't Expedia's fault, it wasn't Priceline's fault. It was just airlines, hotels. These kind of things can happen. You get to a hotel and sorry, the room you requested, they sold it. Well, guys, they're playing the same game as the airlines. Sometimes they oversell the room, betting someone's not going to show up. Now, you could usually put pressure on them to make it right, right? But these kind of things can happen. I don't care who you book through. In fact, remember that when you book through us, we're bringing in 13 wholesale feeds. You're actually booking on Expedia's wholesale feed or Priceline's wholesale feed or Turico's wholesale feed, meaning that if it happened, you think you booked it through us, but you're still booking through them. So meaning if you wouldn't have booked through us, if it had gone to Expedia, the same thing would have happened. But because you're in the travel business, they suddenly like, well, it's the company's fault. I mean, it's like people get more sensitive is my point. And they maybe have a higher expectation of what are you going to do about it? When the truth is that if you booked it anywhere else, you find out that no one's going to do anything about it. It's just the way it is, right? And so just kind of know that going into it, that, that's not the company's fault. That's just the way the travel industry is today. Were there any other questions, Kat, or you want me to move on down the list?
Yes, please move on with the list.
Okay. All right. So we were at question, 5, travel pack 6. The option of booking 4 rooms on one account, only available for travel site. How about the world tours or trip incentive getaways as well? Again, you can book there was another question. You guys can on the travel site book multiple rooms. Okay. So you can go there, you got to do the booking, then go back and then do another booking, then go back and do another booking. And then when you show up, it's all going to be in your name. I got 3 reservations. Here's my 3 confirmations. I booked 3 rooms, but they're all in your name, right? Now, a little harder to do with the getaways because you're using points and things like that and world tours. But, my wife and I have booked 2 world tours because my wife has an account. I have an account. We've taken all of our adult children on vacation with us. We started by taking the oldest daughter to Punta Cana. We took the middle daughter to Barcelona. We took the youngest daughter to Paris, France. And so we use one account for our room. We use the other account for their room. And of course, we have to be there at the time of check-in. But, my wife goes up, I have a reservation. I go up, I have a reservation. Of course, one key is for me and my wife and I, and we hand the other key to our daughter. And so you can do that kind of a thing. I'm assuming that answers that question. Yes.
Yeah, just in future, is it possible to book trip incentives like 2 rooms when we are going, or like,
No, that's more complicated. They got more rules on that with the trip incentive. They pretty much want to be one family per year. They don't like it when you bring friends down because the trip incentive, just so you guys are completely aware of how the trip incentive works. They're all 4 and 5-star properties, okay? And they're bringing you down there for free. And so I want to be clear, you're down there for free and there's no obligation to do anything. I'm going to say that 5 times. You are not obligated to do anything in any way, shape, or form. Okay. It's a free room. Go have a great time. Send me a postcard. Now, they are going to try to seduce you. They're going to try to bribe you. They're going to like, hey, we'll give you a upgraded room. We'll give you an ocean front with a little swimming pool on the balcony. We'll give you jet skis or dune buggies. We'll give you tickets to the Michael Jackson show if you happen to be in Vegas. We'll give you this or that. We'll give you 20% off all your food if you just come to this little 90-minute breakfast, right? And oh yeah, honey, it's just a 90-minute breakfast. Let's go. And then the guy's going to jump out and like, hey, how often do you travel? You could come down here. And they're going to try to sell you this timeshare presentation, right? Now, again, there's no requirement to go. If you say no to the bribes, guys, I just want my free room, go have an amazing time, and it's incredible. If you're somebody like me who likes to meet these guys, so I'm actually going to prospect them. I mean, you're somebody like me who wants to know, hey, what do you guys charge for this place? Holy crap, you're charging $64,000 up front. 2,000 your maintenance fees. I make a note of that. I'll be using that in my next marketing presentation. If you're somebody like me, and I'll go and kind of like just have fun with these guys, right? I don't mind going to the breakfast, right? Hey, give me the bribes. I don't mind. It's all based on what I'm doing. If I got the kids there, well, then hey, I want to spend time with the kids. If it's just me and Gina, then hey, we're going to go do the breakfast. You know, they say it's 90 minutes. It's going to cost me 3 hours, but I've gotten better at knowing, hey, you said 90 minutes, guys. I got a Zoom I got to go do. So your time's up, right? You know, so I just, hey, I got to go. I got to go. And so I've gotten better at cutting them off around 2 hours. So, but again, you do not have to go to the timeshare presentation, but they're going to try to bribe you to do it, right? Well, this is their model. This is why they bring you down there for free, because they know the numbers. A ton of people come down for free. You know, most of them or half of them will say no to the bribes. Okay. Gave them a free room, no big deal. The other half said yes to the bribes. They come to the breakfast, and out of that, some percentage write a big check. That's their model of why they do it. So it's always an incredible place. It's a 4 and 5-star resort because they're hoping, again, to seduce you into thinking, oh, honey, isn't it beautiful down here? Let's write a big check, right? That's why they do it. And it's incredible because we get to take people all over the world to great places for free. Just know what they're doing going in. But for that reason, they're not big on trying to, you coming down with your friends. They're afraid that your friends may talk you out of it, right? They want you down there on your own where they can corner you and, you know, and talk you into it, right? So, you can go, but you just can't coordinate. You guys can sometimes, you know, go to the same place, same time, but it's harder to coordinate, and they may also prohibit you somewhat from coordinating. So again, you can call them, you can ask, you can try to make it happen. But it's my understanding that they sometimes try not to have you come with friends because they're afraid your friends will talk some sense into you and tell you don't do that. You're part of Trevorian. What are you thinking? You don't need that. And so anyway, but that's why they do it. So again, you can try to make it happen, and people have, but sometimes that's by luck, not by design. All right, next question on the list.
it's gonna be 7.
Question 7. Could you kindly clarify why you mentioned signing up during your daughter's softball days and enrolling others? My understanding is the company previously functioned as a paid to say. Yeah, we've always had travel, guys. Travel's always been part of what we did. What were the payments for that during that time? That is varied. We've played with different pricing points on the travel, even way back when. One point, you know, people, if you were part of the company, you got a whole myriad of things, including the travel site. At another time, people could buy the travel site for as much as little as $12.95. We had a different model like that. And then we ultimately settled on the $49 model we currently use. But the travel has been part of the company since day one. In fact, when we knew that the Groupon model wasn't going to continue, and you were saying, hey, where do you want to go from here? We need to pivot a new direction. You know, because clearly the merchants are tired of giving out the 50% discounts. So what do we do best? And all you had to do is go read the company's Facebook page, and it was staring you right in the face. I mean, people raved about how much money they saved on our travel. And so it was pretty clear that, hey, travel is the thing that we seem to do best, right? That's something that we seem to have a natural proclivity to getting people excited. We're not even trying to excite people, and we are. And so maybe we should go do that. And so we did that pivot. And just so you guys know, just from a pure business point of view, that's also not unusual. When you look at Facebook and how they first started, what you see in Facebook today is not what he was doing in his dorm room back when he started the company. If you look at Starbucks, it took them 16 years to get to 17 stores. Think about that. You can't go 3 city blocks without seeing a Starbucks. How could it take them 16 years to get to 17 stores? Well, because back then, they were still trying to figure out who they are. What makes us special? What makes us unique? If you go read the account of McDonald's, the family had a drive-in movie business on the East Coast of the United States. They came to San Bernardino, California. That's about 45 minutes from our home office, 45 minutes from where I live. And they had a hot dog stand, which didn't work. Then they had a drive-in barbecue, which didn't work. And then they began to focus on hamburgers. And 19 years after the first failed business, they had their first franchise. So 19 years to figure out, hey, maybe we'll do McDonald's franchises, right? And then, of course, then it wasn't even them that made that happen. It was Ray Kroc. But if you go read the account of Nike, I mean, if you've never read the book Shoe Dog, highly, 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 highly recommend. You will be blown away. It's how Nike got built. They paid a lady like $22 to design a logo, and she came back with the swoosh. They paid $22 for that logo. That's what they came back with. Then they weren't even trying to have their own company. They were just trying to sell other guys' shoes, and then they were having problems, and they were trying to get their own shoe design. And then eventually, okay, maybe we'll have our own company. And then they had the shoes in Japan. They're coming off the manufacturing line, okay? And Japan's like, hey, the shoes are coming off. Yeah, you still haven't named the company. We have to put a name on the shoe. Well, everyone in the company wanted to give the company an animal name, Puma or lion. I mean, they had every animal name in the world. Well, Phil Knight hated that. And he had a name that everyone else hated. And so Japan's literally screaming, you have to give us a name. And he gets a call from his buddy, right? And he says, hey, I had this dream last night about Nike. Fine, call it Nike. And that's how the Nike name came about. And when you read the whole account, you're like, wow. I mean, guys, you get entrepreneurs and they're trying this and they're trying that. And then eventually, if they're good entrepreneurs, they come up with something like people like, and it explodes. But this is kind of a normal process. Dave knew Hart when he started the company, he wanted to bring value to the marketplace because the company he was in, the day he decided to build this company, he had signed up for, had some owners, they did some screwy things. They were starting this new coffee thing. So he bought the product, the coffee product. He spent $100 and he got a few bags that showed up. He's like, you got to be kidding me. I paid $100 for a couple bags of coffee. He's like, I'm starting my own company. And we're going to do a company where there's not barbed wire. We're going to do a company where people can make money. We're going to do a company where people get value for their money. And if you look at everything we've stood for since the day we got started, we've had the travel portal since the day we got started. And our whole company's always been about saving people money since the day we got started. We just had to try to figure out what the right design was, the right formula to make all of that tick. And the truth is we didn't figure it out until really just recently, right? I mean, that's why you guys have all joined at the perfect time. That's why you guys, Igor, Larissa, will become the top income earners in the entire company. Because some of the leaders that came before you, they had a big run, but it kind of stalled because we didn't have back then what we have today, right? So they kind of went out to their market and, well, I was excited, but now I'm not. And so some of those people kind of went away. And so some of those early leaders, right, they're the ones with the arrows in their back, right? Not that they're not going to make money, but they don't have the same momentum at the right time that you guys do. Igor does, Larissa does, Tatiana, Sergey and Andrew and all the other, ambassadors we have coming out of this group. And there's Larissa and Golsum. Every time I turn around, there's a new ambassador. And so you guys are here at the absolute perfect time. All right, let's go back to your questions here.
You already answered number 8. Can you answer number 9, please?
Okay, I answered number 8.
Yeah, it was about world tours for big families.
Okay. Number 9. In the binary system, there's no validation when partners place their new member under their ID and select right, but if the right position is already taken, the system places. Okay, guys. So here, our back office placing system sucks. Okay. Let's be clear. Okay. Never, ever, ever let the computer place your people for you. Ever, 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 ever. Or prepare to be massively disappointed. Okay. You must always place your people. Now, when you place your people, you have to go all the way to the bottom of the line and say, who am I trying to place people below? Okay. So I know we got Kat on here, and let's say that Alex is below Kat, and let's say that Samantha's below Alex, and we've got, let's say, Olga below Samantha, right? Well, if I want to then put in a brand new person, let's say I'm putting in Anna, I can't go put in Kat's ID number and expect it to go in the right place, right? I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the line. I'm going to grab Samantha's ID number at the very bottom. And when I go to place Anna, I'm going to put in her ID number because there's no one below Samantha, or at least one of her 2 spots is open. You never place where there's not an empty spot. You get to pinpoint accuracy where you want to put it. I'm putting in this specific ID number. I trace it all the way down to the person I want to put it below. I grab their ID number. So by the way, I copy it, copy, paste. Then I go back up to the daily genealogy. I put in that ID number, hit search just to make sure I got the right ID number and the right name pulled up. I know for sure that I know it's the right ID number. Then I go click on the pencil. I put in that ID number. I hit the check, and unequivocally, every single time it will go precisely below that person. Anything else, and you're rolling the dice.
Thank you. But like, you know, I'm familiar with binary system, but still I had an issue when I signed up first and we don't have a clear instruction on this page. Maybe it's a good point to add some just instruction,
Sound like a video or something?
something, because there is a lot of issue with this like missing validation, and people still enter their ID, their own ID, and trying to send to the right, and then
Yeah.
it will be a mess. And a
Yeah,
lot of things we receive, it's just like, oh, I placed my partner on the like wrong partner. I believe it's just UI issue. There is no clear validation or instruction there.
When you said validation, you meant instruction. Okay.
Yeah, maybe like
Yeah, I when you wrote validation, I didn't know what you meant by that. You meant instruction.
yeah. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. I'm more clear about the question now.
Yeah.
So you want better instruction for a place. And then I agree, because it's something that you want to teach people how to do and be precise, because it's a very unforgiving system.
Yeah, just because like you cannot change the placement later on.
That's correct.
Like the big issue. And if people just like, and guys, do you have
By the
any?
way, keep in mind one thing. If you ever place somebody wrong, and I mean really wrong. I had a lady the other day. Let me grab my whiteboard. I had a lady the other day. She called me up, and I'm giving her remedy. I said, if you placed it wrong, you can always ask for a refund and get a refund. Now, they'll refund you everything but the $79, okay? However, if it's really that important to you, then pay the $79. I mean, if it's that big of a mess up, if I got my left leg growing like crazy and I just sponsored Eager and I actually put him in the left leg, I'll pay the $79 to get him in the right leg, okay? I mean, so guys, pay the $79, get the refund, redo it from scratch. So there's always a remedy. The question is, you want to pay the price. Now, the other day, here's the lady, right? Here she is. And she put her person here, okay? Well, she wanted to put her person there. And I'm like, you don't pay $79 for that? Because I know that in binaries, we like to think in terms of outside right, outside left, right? We all think that way, but these things all break down at some point, right? Eager's on the inside of an inside leg. I mean, there's no outside left, outside right, and the main leg goes through him. If that's the leg I'm building, guess what? I'm not going outside left to the people doing nothing. I'm going down below Eager and Larissa where all the action is, on the inside of an inside where I'm putting my people, right? So you never stick with the pure outside left, outside right. So it doesn't matter whether it's left or right. I know a lot of people want to think in these terms, right? So here's my left leg. And so, I want to stick with the outside, so the outside left right there, and I go outside left. Well, if someone ends up in here, it doesn't matter because I can put the next person there, next person there. I'm going straight down no matter what. It's a straight line no matter what. It's all the same leg for me. So I'm just going to throw out there that sometimes if it's the difference between being here or here, it doesn't really matter, right? You don't need to have that changed. Now, if you meant for the person to be over here instead of here, well, then that matters. And maybe it's worth paying the $79.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much. Guys, I think maybe a few people raise their hands.
Sure.
Yeah. Guys, turn on your microphone, please. I just tried to mute everybody.
Hello, Samantha. Did I say your name correctly? Is it Samantha?
Hello. Hi,
Hey,
Todd.
Dimitri. What's going on, bud?
How are you doing? Good, good. I
Amazing.
have few questions. One, do you have any plans to add low-cost flights to the travel site?
Well, I wish. Guys, flights are the one thing that no one in the world can consistently deliver on. It does not exist. Now, people, by the way, whenever you check flights, always check our site. And you'll see some people, especially if they're new. Oh my gosh, you just saved me $300 on the flight. You saved me $400 on the flight, right? That's just dumb luck because we cannot consistently do that, right? Now, hotels, resorts, we can consistently deliver unbelievable savings in that arena. But flights, no one in the world can consistently deliver flights because they don't mark it up anymore. They don't pay commissions on it. They used to in the old days. When it comes to flights, my best advice, and again, there's different sites and different things that people do. But my wife and I, we went and got a Chase preferred card. It's the Sapphire card in particular. Okay. Well, we earned 7 round trip tickets in our first year. So we got 7 round trip tickets for free by simply charging everything we were going to buy anyway on the card. Okay. Got to pay the phone bill, put it on the card. Got to pay the water bill, put it on the card. Got to pay the power bill, put it on the card. Got to pay, my Starbucks bill, put it on the card. Going out to dinner, put it on the card. Got to buy flowers for Valentine's Day, put it on the card. And so again, we have 7 round trip tickets. Now, there's another huge perk through Chase. And we've done this at least a dozen times. So we were in Philadelphia with my middle daughter, and we were supposed to come home on Thursday. And she's like, hey, can you guys stay till Saturday? So this is with Chase Preferred. My wife calls Chase. She booked the flights through them. She calls Chase, says, can I move the flight from Thursday to Saturday? We're calling the day before our flight. Can I move the flight from Thursday to Saturday? No problem. Made the flight. Anything else I can do for you? Have a nice day. No penalty. None. We were just in Miami. I was supposed to fly home on Sunday after the world tour, but then someone said, hey, can you come over and do a meeting in Orlando? Fine. Hey, honey, call, move the flight. 2 days before, she calls and moves the flight. We're going to come home on Wednesday. Well, then Oksana and Tatiana, hey, can you go to, where were we? Sarasota? I think Sarasota. No. Well, someplace. I can't remember. We were in some city. Can you come to a meeting? Sure. Fine. We go there, do a meeting. So we had to call back and move the flight again. And we called literally the day before. We moved the flight twice. No penalty. Now, as you guys start traveling and connecting different flights, sometimes having the ability to move the flight with no penalty, that's as good as any low-cost flight you're going to find. I mean, that is a pretty major perk, right? But across the board, check every place, check all the sites. No one has the consistent discount. Just find the best rates you can find. And more importantly, let's help you make some money so you don't even worry about the cost of flight. My wife the other day, and I say this in the most humble way because we've been so blessed, but she was at the store and she with her mom and they bought all this stuff. I go, what it cost? She goes, oh, I didn't look. I go, how's that feel? I mean, you didn't even look. You bought it. You didn't even look. How does that feel? How does that feel? Because it didn't matter, right? So again, we want to get you to the place where you buy and you didn't even look. Oh yeah, I forgot to look. Yeah, what did you charge me? I mean, because it doesn't matter. So again, that's a whole nother thing there, but that's another subject. I know we have other questions.
Yeah,
Hello?
one more question.
Yeah, Alex.
I have question about travel site currency choice for air tickets. I recently bought a ticket to Abu Dhabi from Toronto. I was quoted in Canadian dollars. I choose Canadian dollars. I paid with Canadian dollars credit card. At the same time, my payment was processed um, differently. Travorium issued me a receipt in Canadian dollars, but I was charged in the US dollars. And I am trying to solve this issue with support since December, and it didn't work. So I have two questions. How we can recognize in Canada that we still paying in Canadian dollars or in the US dollars? Because it affects everybody who pays in Canada on travel side. And second question, uh, it's not only placement sucks, support sucks as well. I am wondering how to escalate questions because they respond something that it's completely not true, that they say that I paid their line. Of course, I paid their line because I will fly with their line, but Travorium issued a receipt and in the line confirmed that Travorium major company leisure loyalty is my travel agent. And support doesn't recognize this. And I have difference in payment and I would like actually have this difference reimbursed because it's not my fault. I have all documents in all Canadian dollars, but I was still charged in US dollars. Can
So
you
my
address?
first question would be, is because we have lots of people that book from Canada, right? Danny Segwinal, one of our leaders, lives in Canada. He's a one-star ambassador, got one of the biggest teams in the entire company. And so people have booked in Canada on a regular basis, and I'm assuming they usually use the Canadian revenue, the Canadian currency. So has this problem ever happened more than once? So that's my first question. Is this an isolated thing, or has this been a systemic thing? Two, if you're talking to the Travorium support people, you might have more luck talking to the support desk at Leisure Loyalty, right? It's the travel support travel desk at Travorium. Let me look it up real quick. You might be talking to the support people at our office, right? Well, their expertise is binary left, right, Travorium policies. Their expertise is not, oh, you booked in this currency versus that currency. That's more of the travel site people. So you're talking to network marketing people, not travel people, if that, to put it more clearly. Let me
I
go back
spoke
to,
with travel desk because Travorium support referred me to travel desk. It's also
yes,
Travorium travel desk.
yes, that's those are the right people, the travel desk. So travel desk at Travorium.com. So again, travel desk at Travorium.com. They're the only ones who could resolve that issue for you.
They didn't resolve.
Okay. And they, for that, I can apologize. My biggest concern is making sure that's not a systemic problem and that is an isolated thing that happened. And I don't know why they couldn't resolve it for you. But you could certainly, send an email to me and I'm happy to forward it to David Hart and again, have it checked to make sure it's not an ongoing problem. I do know that again, when things happen, it's pretty rare that people come back and say, we're willing to clean up the mistake. I just gave you a whole bunch of examples a moment ago, but I landed in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they canceled my flight to Ontario, but they were going to send my bags anyway, right? They couldn't send me till the next day. So I'm stuck in Vegas. It's up to me to buy a hotel room. Instead, I got to buy a different flight to fly to a different airport, to hire a Lyft to go to the airport where my bags are. They didn't even give me a free drink, right? They didn't reimburse me anything. That's just the travel industry today. That's kind of how it works. They don't make up many things anymore. If you miss a flight, sorry. If a flight gets canceled, sorry. Yeah, but I got reservations at a hotel at the other end. Sorry. Well, I'm stuck here for the night. Are you going to pay my hotel room? No. I mean, this is the answers you're going to get. And I don't mean because of our company. If you travel and you're traveling through United and Delta and American Airlines and Southwest and all these different airlines, they don't do much for people anymore. They just kind of like say, sorry. And it's kind of on you. And that's kind of the travel industry, right? So you booked in one currency versus another currency. And again, I apologize that happened to you. Please email me. My email is toddstrand@gmail.com. So Todd, Todd, Strand, my name, toddstrand@gmail.com. You can tell I stayed up all night thinking of that one. toddstrand@gmail.com. So email me and I'm happy to forward that over to David Hart and the company. But again, I do know that just from personal experience, They just say, tough luck. I mean, sorry that happened, but tough, right? And so that's not our company. That's across the board. That's the entire airline, hotel, travel space. They don't do things for people the way they used to in today's environment. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that's kind of reality. And I want you guys to be aware of that, because you're going to have experience. If you start traveling a lot, you're going to have some experiences, and you're going to have other people that travel a lot. They're going to have some experiences, and you got to want to let them know what to expect. And it's not a function of just our company. That's just the landscape we live in today.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your email.
You're welcome. Dimitri, I know you were trying to ask another follow-up question.
Oh, thank you so much for answering the first question. And the second question also regarding trip incentive, because we have specific problem with our team member. So, you know, the trip incentive, when you book vacation, we tell you, wait until we confirm your vacation and then you can buy a flight. So our partner waited for confirmation, and after that we buy flight tickets. And a few days ago, travel site contact our partner and says, your booking was canceled. We have overbooking, and now we have like 2 adults, 3 kids, and we don't know what to do with flight tickets, because flight tickets you can't cancel. So it's not like you mentioned, you know, it can be weather or something. Suddenly flights cancel, it's okay. But this is, you know, I believe different issue. If you can help our partner to solve it, it will be really appreciated.
Yeah, and do me a favor, because I was trying to follow the whole series of events there. So you got plane tickets, right, that you paid for, but now you have an issue with the resort, correct?
Yeah, so I can explain shortly again. So our partner, we bought, we ordered trip incentive. We waited for confirmation. The booking was completed, and then we purchased flight tickets. And after, you know, a month after it's confirmed, trip incentive, like Redeem Vacation, contact them and say your booking canceled because it was overbooking in hotel. We can't do anything, and flight tickets already booked for 5 people. What should we do? This is like different from sudden, when you mentioned it's like weather or something. This is specific problem.
So this is another great example, guys. This is the travel world we live in, right? So remember, this is a totally different company. This is not Trevorium. This is a totally separate company. And they're saying, oops, sorry, the resort overbooked. Yeah, but I already got plane tickets. Sorry. You guys, remember I booked through VRBO? We bought a house on the beach. My whole family lands. We got people with food there, and they canceled my reservation while I'm in the air, right? And so, oops, sorry. Where are we supposed to stay tonight? I don't know. Good luck. I mean, so this is the travel world we live in. That's not Trevorium doing that. That's just the landscape we live in. And so you want people to be prepared. Now, some people, because they're aware these things happen, they buy travel insurance. And if you buy travel insurance, well, then you get all your money back on your airline tickets, okay? If you start booking through people like Chase, and I need to check on if a flight was canceled, you could always try to like postpone the flight and use the tickets at a different time. You could keep the tickets and say, hey, let's go to the same city. We don't have the trip incentive anymore, but is there a getaway there? Let's check the travel site. Is there something there? Hey, let's take the trip. We're not getting the trip incentive, but let's take the trip and see if we can't turn lemons into lemonade. That would be another possibility. We just got to go find a different place to stay while we're there. You could call the airline. Hey, is there any chance of getting a refund? And so these are all the different avenues you can pursue. You know, hey, did I buy travel insurance? Then I know I get my money back. I can call the airline, any chance, say they cancel my reservation. Maybe if I, kind of plead with them, maybe they'll do something for me. If that's a no, well, then I can say, hey, is there any chance we just go on the trip? We just find a different place. We'll check the getaways, we'll check the world tours, we'll check the travel site, see what's out there, and see what we can get and go just make the most of it, right? Or you can just eat it, right? But in today's world, those are kind of the remedies that we're left with, where, again, we've given several examples here throughout the Zoom that even when they cancel the flight or this does that, or hotel over books. This is across the entire travel landscape, across Delta Airlines, American Airlines, the Marriott. I mean, all of them. They're like, sorry, and they don't do much for you. I'm not saying that's right, but that's the world we live in, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen to other people. And again, it's pretty rare that it happens, and it's not like it's happening because of our company. These things are happening. I mean, we don't even book a lot of our airline tickets through the company, and that happens to us on a regular basis. Where our flight in Greece got canceled, and then we had to book a hotel and book an extra night in Greece, and then we had to book a night in Newark, and then we were late for the event. I mean, who's going to make that up to us, right? I mean, it costs us more money, but they just say sorry. So I just want you to be aware that that's just the world we live in, and that not in most companies, Expedia wouldn't make it right. Travelocity wouldn't make it right. Priceline wouldn't make it right. Southwest wouldn't make it right. Delta would make it right. I mean, these are all big companies that's not a Trevorium thing. That's just the way it works today. And it's important for you guys as leaders to know that, because people will sometimes come back and try to dump their problem on you, like it's your fault or the company's fault, and say, guys, these things happen. And if you guys travel enough, you'll end up with your own stories and realize that this is just kind of the way it is today, right? It's not as much like the old days. In fact, we were at a restaurant the other night, and I was with my in-laws, and they came to bring out his steak, and they knocked the water all over my father-in-law. I mean, he got drenched, right? And my wife made the comment, she goes, I'm surprised that they didn't comp his meal. All they did was they brought him out a little like a chocolate shake thing. They said, hey, we're sorry about that. Here's a little chocolate shake thing. That was it. That's all they did. And I was fine. I thought that was fine, right? But she's like, oh no, the old days they would have comped the meal. I mean, after that, that whole, but they didn't. They didn't offer him a free meal after they spilled something all over him, and I was okay with that. But some people, that's just, I guess I'm more used to how they do things nowadays, that a lot of companies and restaurants don't quite do the things they used to in the old days to make it up to you.
Can I ask a question about booking a flight?
Yes, ma'am.
Today, my partner who just activated her membership, it was the first day today, was trying to book a flight. And the site said that she cannot book a flight for herself and her husband, only for herself. Is that a glitch?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that just came up today.
Yeah, I'll need to ask. I've never heard that you couldn't book a flight for your
Yeah,
husband.
I thought that was strange as well.
Yeah, I need to inquire. So if you don't mind, you got my email address, and send that to me.
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Other questions? By the way, that's also another thing I want to bring up to you guys, that along the way, as you build a company, there's always going to be obstacles and things that'll happen. And, that's just life, right? And when obstacles happen, I'm a big believer in tragic blessings. Sometimes the worst, best thing that ever happens at the exact same moment. Today, you might say, oh my gosh, that's awful, right? Oh my gosh, that's horrible. But then later on down the road, the company did this and they did that, and they come back and they come out with this other program, and now it's way better than it used to be. And you're like, oh my gosh, that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to us. Because if that thing had not happened, then they would have done this and this and this and this. And now it's so much better today than what it used to be. And what you have to be as a leader, someone who's aware that, along the road, right, there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be times where it's going to be great. And for the most part, guys, it's been great. For the most part, it's been unbelievable. The trips have been amazing. A couple little hiccups here and there. The money's been amazing, but there have been bumps along the road. And as leaders, right, you can't let the bumps deter you from the destination that you're after. Too many people see a bump in the road and then they quit or they give up. And by the way, if you guys are Bible readers or churchgoers, right, I'm not trying to impose any religion on you, but if you are a reader of the Bible, and if you do read the account of when the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt, so they were in captivity for 400 years. And of course, a lot of you may know the story about Moses by the burning bush and go to Pharaoh and set my people free. And we had the seven plagues, the epic showdown. And finally, Pharaoh says, fine, take your people and go. Now, where were they going? They were going to the promised land. the land of milk and honey, the land of opulence, the land of abundance, right? The land where all their dreams are going to come true. And they've been praying for 400 years. Lord, Lord, please, please, please don't forget your people. It says in the Bible verbatim that God could have taken them through the land of the Philistines, and it would have been much quicker to get to the promised land, right? He could have taken them that way. But it says in the Bible verbatim that God knew that if he took them that way, that the first obstacle that came up, they would turn around and run back to Egypt, the place they hated, the place they've been praying to be delivered from. So he didn't take them that way. He took them a different way. And you have to understand that sometimes a lot of your people are the same way. The first hot day, the first obstacle in the road, and they're looking for, okay, this is no good, this is bad. And I'm just going to challenge you as leaders to know that everyone that's done anything great ever, anyone that's made a lot of money, anyone's ever built a company, they're the people that, you know what? I know it's an obstacle. I know it's a challenge. I know that maybe this is not even right. This is wrong. But you know what? I'm not going to let this one wrong undo the 100 rights we got going on. We just got to figure this one out, right? It's a challenge. It's a problem. It's an opportunity. We got to figure that out. We got to do better in that area. But I'm not going to let this one thing spoil the 100 or 1,000 good things we got going on and all the great things we got going on. It's like, trying to find the perfect spouse, right? Well, I know that he made me breakfast every day. He wrote me love notes every day. He brought me flowers every day. He massaged me every day. He did the dishes. He cleaned the baby. He changed the diapers, but just that one thing, he watches that TV show. I dropped the ball. It's like, you don't want to be this person where you're like, you find that one little thing, but people do that all the time. They'll let that one challenge be the thing that stops them, be the thing that derails them. And I'm just telling you that if you can learn to be the person, you keep doing the right things, even when the wrong things are happening. You keep doing the right things, even when you're totally justified. You are totally right. This is wrong. It ain't right. I've been wronged. This is unjust. I have every reason to be mad. Other people agree with you, but you're the one that says, you know what? I'm going to keep doing the right things, even when the wrong things are happening. I promise you're the one that's going to come out blessed on the other side, and incredible things are going to happen for you. Everyone, there's 7 billion critics on the planet, 7 billion people that are ready to quit, ready to point the finger, ready to blame. It's her fault, their fault. Be the person, man. I'm here to solve problems. I'm here to overcome challenges. I'm going to keep marching forward no matter what. You become one of those people, and they're rare. They're rare, and that's why we call them leaders. That's why we celebrate them. That's why they write books about them. That's why they're the ones that do the big companies, because every leader that did anything had to overcome a lot of obstacles along the way. You got to find the obstacles and say, okay, this is just an opportunity. This is bad. This is an area we need to improve on, right? It's like if you're a football fan, NFL, and we got a great running game, we got a great defense, we got a great special teams, but I'm a Chicago
Todd,
Bears fan.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm
how are you,
Kate here. How are you?
I'm great.
Great speech. Listen, so I have a question. So in terms of tickets, one more time for the trip incentive, and let's say somebody buys like an entertainment portal, they buy some tickets and stuff like that. So Travorium, they hold no responsibility for those. Is that what you're saying? Like essentially because somebody books a trip incentive and the hotel doesn't work and they bought the tickets, what happens to that?
You can always go to the company and ask them to do a remedy or to make it right? That's always your option. But
yeah, because that's the usual question we get, like from the signees and whoever wants to.
But the place you booked it,
company.
remember, you don't book the trip incentive through us. You book the trip incentive through VIP, right? It's a whole separate company altogether. We make that clear when you sign up. And so it's a whole separate company. You really have to get your remedy through them. And yes, the company is not going to probably try to make that right. And again, almost nobody would make that right. No one made it right when they canceled my flight from Greece. I'm just telling you, in the travel space, it's not Travorium. It had nothing to do with Travorium. The airline didn't make it right.
Yeah. So what particular platform are you holding held responsible for?
What do you mean?
I mean, when you sign up with Travorium, what particular platform is held responsible? Like you're saying, that's separate. Like what is Travorium then?
Yeah, Travorium does the world tours, right? The world tours, we do the training events, the yacht. There's things that are specifically to Travorium, right? It specifically comes from us. We curate the world tours ourselves. right? And
Okay,
so
so
obviously,
world tours, yeah,
if you
so
if
that's
you
the
booked
question. Yeah.
yeah, if you
Mhm.
booked a room and there was no room for you, they'd refund you all your points and that kind of thing, right? That's something the company can directly do for you. But again, we're basically bringing together a place where people can save lots of money. And again, for the most part, things work without a problem. And again, even if you book your world tour through us and then you go book your airline on your own through United and they cancel the flight, they're not going to make it up to you. And you could ask them the same question. Well, Mr. United, who's going to make this right to me? They're like, I don't want to tell you. Fan flight got canceled. Tough luck. That's what they'll say. I mean, that's the world we live in. That's what they will tell you. That's not Javorian telling you that. That's United Airlines telling you that. And I use that because when you hear Book VIP say, sorry, there's not much we can do about it. Well, United Airlines will tell you the same thing. Delta Airlines will tell you the same thing. American Airlines will tell you the same thing. It's just kind of the world we live in and how they do it today. I'm not saying it's right, but that is how they do it today. And again, these things don't happen very often. And you can go back and ask for a remedy. By the way, you can go find another place. I booked my airline tickets. I booked the trip incentive. They told me now it's canceled last second. Remember, they did that to me through VRBO. And so I got to go find a new place. So you could go find a new place. If you're really worried about it, buy travel insurance, and then you're guaranteed to get your money back on your ticket. And then you don't have to worry about it, right? So people that really worry about that stuff, buy travel insurance. If you don't buy travel insurance, well, then you're kind of rolling the dice that maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen, right? But again, these are the kind of things that you don't want to take an isolated thing that can happen. And there's not much anyone can do about it, not Javorian, not Delta, nobody, and make it something bigger than what it is.
Okay, and for travel site, thanks for explaining that, by the way. For travel site, for example, is there any extra fees on top of the price that's already there in terms of resort fees and taxes and stuff like that?
Now, when we do the travel site, we don't mark it up. So we're just doing what's called the net rate. Now, keep in mind that we're not the only company in the world that has a net rate. Expedia has the net rate. Priceline has the net rate. And sometimes the hotels aren't offering discounts because they're full. And so when you go to our site, we have the 13 wholesale feeds, right? And it's going to go through all of that information and data and say, based on the city you choose, here's who happens to have the best deal at that time, right? Well, maybe you got some particular hotel you want to go to and you go pull it up and there's not really a discount here. Well, because they're not offering a discount right now. In fact, sometimes it won't show up on our site, maybe because they're not offering a discount. We don't do anything less than 3-star. And sometimes if they're not offering a discount, you may not even find the hotel because they're not offering a discount. But sometimes it's a small discount, right? But it's pretty tough to be lower than our price because we're doing the net rate. We don't mark it up in any way, shape, or form. Now, it's not impossible. Sometimes certain companies do contracts. We do it too, right? We do contracts a certain place. We guarantee a certain number of rooms and we get certain favors and certain price privileges for doing that. Well, if we're not meeting our criteria, right? Then we're behind on our rooms. We have to pay for all of those rooms that were unsold. They're empty. I mean, we got to pay for them because we said we would be responsible for that number. So what's the company going to do at this point? They're going to eat it or they're going to have a flash sale, right? Hey, guess what? The rooms, I know we paid $100 for them, but you can get them for $49 right now. We're losing $49 a room, but that's better than losing $100 a room. And then you go on there and say, oh my gosh, the price is cheaper. Well, they might be dumping rooms. They had a contract, now they're dumping rooms, but that's an isolated event, not a ongoing thing. And that happens from time to time where someone's dumping rooms because they didn't meet their contract obligation, and it's going to be a less price. But predominantly, as you do the price searches, it's either going to be the same price as us or higher because most of those guys are marking it up. We don't. Hard to get lower than the net rate. We don't mark it up at all. And so typically, we're always going to have some kind of a savings. And again, the way our system's designed, you don't just get to pick the place. You can't just say, well, I want to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I want to be at the Trump. Well, you can do that and you can go there and look it up. And we might have 50% off. We might have 20% off. We might have 60% off. We might only have 9% off, right? But you just arbitrarily picked a place. The way our system works best is when you go to the city and say, hey, based on the date I'm going to be here, who happens to have the best deal at that particular time, right? And maybe that is the Trump. Maybe it's not the Trump. Maybe it's the Virgin Hotel or somebody else, right? That's how our system works best. The same is true with our getaways and world tours. When people say, well, look, I want to do a getaway and I want to be in Myrtle Beach and I got to be there April 16th to the 26th. Maybe we have something. We might. We can go look. We obviously can check the getaways. We can check the world tours. We can check the trip incentive. We can check the travel site. We can check. But when you try to dictate the terms, it's not always going to be as advantageous if you just said, I just want a great trip. I mean, I could be happy in Myrtle Beach. I could go to North Carolina. I could go to, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I could go to Williamsburg, Virginia. I could be happy in Fort Lauderdale or the Bahamas or Jamaica or maybe Cabo or Branson, Missouri. I just want a great trip. Well, when you put it that way, and, I could go in April or I could go in May. Well, then now the whole world's at your oyster because now I can look around and, check different places, check different dates. Again, not everybody can do that. I get that. And it's not that we can't save you money if you dictate the terms. It's just that the way our system works best is when you can kind of take the trips as they come, because, you never know who's going to have the big discount or the this or the that, right? And again, there's lots and lots of weeks, right? But when people have some flexibility, that's when our system works the best. That's when you can go from one amazing trip where I got an unbelievable deal to the next amazing trip where I got an unbelievable deal. And so when you look at Daryl and Maria Roberts, and I'm assuming you guys all know who they are, or maybe you've seen some of their Zooms, they're always on an amazing trip with an amazing deal, but that's because they take the deals as they come. They're not trying to force the deal. They're not trying to say, I got to be in Hawaii on this date. Hey, if the deal's in Arizona or the deal's in there, hey, let's go there. And so they just take the deal as it comes.
Todd, may I ask a question?
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it, and I am pretty sure the entire team does. I have a couple of questions. First, I read somewhere in the company's policy that you cannot book 2 trips less than 90 days apart on Dreamcation platform. Is that right?
That is a policy that the company has, but that is a policy the
Okay.
company has never
Just wanted-
enforced.
Okay, so
They've
just
never,
wanted to
by the way,
confirm that.
it's a true policy, but they've never enforced it. So I'm giving you two answers.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
that's
not. Oh,
that's a policy we have, but we've never enforced it.
okay, that's great. Another thing, my partner had a problem with the travel site. The problem was there was an error popping up every time she tried to book it, and it said that she had wrong CVV code from her card. So she tried to contact travel sites like support Travarium and whatever the other guys, and I kept sending her from one place to another. So who would be the best person to contact if there is a problem with the booking at the time of the booking on the travel site?
Well, the travel desk, those are the best people. The travel desk at Travarium.com.
Travel desk.
Yes,
Okay.
but you can always go back to customer support too, right? And sometimes I see those error messages myself, right? How they pop up from time to time. And sometimes you just got to reboot your system, refresh, and we had the other night we were doing live price comparisons, and we were getting little errors like you couldn't. It would pull up the place, but we went to click on the room. It was given an error right in the middle of a live pricing demonstration, right?
Yeah,
And it's
it's
not
for
one to
safe.
pull. It's not one to pull a room. So we just had to improvise. Like, okay, guys, we didn't click on the rooms and just specific room to room. We just kind of left it as as it was because we were getting an error. But then, a few hours later, it all went away. And so sometimes that
Yeah.
error thing pops up.
Maybe
and
if you have rebooted it at the time, maybe it would
Yeah.
help. But nevertheless,
And guys, I want
Yeah.
to tell you, I want to give another example of this too. My wife managed a Kohl's department store. And they're a $24 billion per year company. Now, their Super Bowl is what they call Black Friday. So that's in the United States. We have Thanksgiving on Thursday. The Friday following Thanksgiving, this is the day that retailers make their money, right? They live for this day. And the retailers make all of their money from Thanksgiving Day all the way to Christmas Day, right? This is where they make their money. And so everything's about Black Friday. They fly all of the managers to a certain destination. They pay for their airfare, hotel rooms, meals, entertainment. They say, these are our new things we're doing this year. Here's the new things we're rolling out. Here's the new programs. It's all about gearing up for Black Friday. 4 years ago, Black Friday, and all of their credit card systems went down. This is a $24 billion a year company, and they can't clear credit cards on Black Friday. I mean, guys, sometimes these things happen. I always just try to remind people that the biggest companies in the world sometimes have these kinds of issues. And I think that sometimes when it happens inside a company you're building, we get a little nervous about, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Right. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just, some people do that. Right. And so just remember, these kind of things go on everywhere where there's bugs and there's this and there's that. And again, for the most part, the travel site has worked great. And if it doesn't work for some reason, we need to contact somebody and try to get it fixed. And I've had those kind of errors before. And it's like, right?
Yeah.
You want to punch the
Yeah, you're
screen,
right.
but
You're right.
the
Absolutely right.
next day it worked great. So
Yeah, and one more question from my friend. Can you please explain more about how the travel site works? You mentioned something about 13 streams, if I
yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
we have 13
What
wholesale
is
feeds
that?
that come into the site.
13 what? Sorry,
13 wholesale feeds.
wholesale
Yeah,
fees.
so it's a feed. Like for example,
Yeah.
Expedia, they have a lot of inventory, a lot of data. They're one of our wholesale feeds. You know, Priceline, we have their wholesale feed. Turica, we have their wholesale feed. We have all
Oh,
the
okay.
inventory Expedia has, all the inventory Priceline has. So we have a feed, they call it a feed, that comes in with all of that data, right? All of the different hotels and prices and those kind of things. And so our site takes all 13, and it says, hey, based on the city you've chosen, the date you've chosen, it begins to scan all of that data from all 13, and then it puts it in an order of greatest savings to least based on the trip you chose or the city you chose. Here's who has the best deal at that particular moment in time. Now you can change the way it searches. You can say, you know what, don't show me the greatest savings, show me the greatest value. Show me the one that's closest to the center of the city. Show me the one that's closest to the airport. You can change the way that it's going to come up, but it's designed by default to show you greatest savings to least.
Yeah, understandable. Thank you very much for your time and your
You're welcome.
explanation.
And
Hey,
so
Kat.
question, yeah. When I sign up as a Canadian, will it possible to book any travel site from all over the world if I move to Europe to live for half a year? Because we heard like you are not able to book on a travel site outside of Canada. Is it true? Like how it works?
Well, these are some new rules that have been put in place. We used to be able to do that, right? We used to be able to book from anywhere. And this is part of that ever growing fraud climate we live in, right? Where there's so much fraud. And to give you guys an example, some of the policies that have been passed, like today, you guys, when you sign up, you have to wait 7 days to book. You have to KYC, right? And they come back to us and they say it's our fault. We have to know our customer. So KYC stands for know your customer. So today you got to take a picture of your driver's license, right? And they got to take a picture of yourself, and this facial recognition system that the company pays a lot of money for says, yes, this person's picture matches the government ID. And we do that just so that we know who you are. Now, why did all of that happen? Well, because in the travel world, if you book a bunch of travel fraudulently on fake credit cards, even if we catch it, we're on the hook for it. So we had a guy named Dimitri, okay, and he was in the team somewhere. And this is an inside joke between me and Tatiana, if you guys know Tatiana. You know, every time I talk to her, I'm like, hey, remember, that was your buddy Dimitri. I'm sorry, I mean your brother, your lifelong friend Dimitri. And she does the same thing to me. We're just totally joking. Nobody knew this guy, right? We were on a Zoom with him one time. Me and Tatiana were on a Zoom with this guy. He claimed to live in Dubai. He had a fake address in LA. He actually lived in the country of Georgia. He got into the system and he booked $25,000 worth of travel. And although the company caught it, Dave Hart was on the hook for 25 grand. And the company lost 25 grand in one night. And that's when the company had to start changing policies. It's this whole fraudulent world we live in where, okay, now we don't have same day bookings. You got to wait 7 days. You got to take a picture of yourself. And that's where some of these policies have been getting passed so that we can provide this incredible thing we're doing where people are saving huge on travel, but we can do it in a way that, you know, the company's not going to lose money. You got to protect against the fraudsters. Now, again, I'm going to come back and use a real world corporation, 2 of them. If you guys are not aware, in California, they have passed some laws where if you're stealing less than $1,000, they're not going to arrest you. They just basically say, okay, don't do that again. Well, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. I mean, you caught me today, but I'll be back again tomorrow. because there's no real penalty. I'm not going to jail. And so it's like, okay, you caught me today. Good for you. Be back tomorrow. We'll play again. And maybe I'll get away with it tomorrow. Well, that caused Walmart to shut down a whole bunch of stores. Walmart literally shut down entire stores because we can't do it. The fraud is too great. It's too much pain. It isn't worth it. This doesn't work for us anymore. Again, my wife managed a Kohl's department store. They always have a front entrance and a side entrance. And so you can go in through the men's section over here or go in through the front of the store over here. And almost all the stores, they closed down the side entrance. Why? Because they were trying to channel and flow. I mean, they're cutting off their own sales. They're cutting off their own traffic flow. I mean, they're killing themselves, but the fraud is so great, we got to do something. And so we live in this world where guarding against fraud has become a more difficult thing to do. And so you kind of have these evolving policies where you got to wait 7 days to book. You got to take a picture of yourself, take a picture of the ID. And right now they want to make sure that, when you book something, that you are you, and it's from your IP address and it's from the country you claim to be in. And therefore, I think that it's gotten difficult to book outside of your country. If you happen to be in another country and you want to book, they're throwing up fraud alerts on this kind of stuff, right? Now, I'm not saying that won't get better, right? Some of these things are opportunities to improve, right? Where one day we had this, but man, now we have this. But yes, that I think is a challenge in today's climate.
But does it mean we have to plan all our trips in advance from Canada, and then there is no possibility to book outside of Canada? Is there
temporarily that is true. There's a whole nother system of where you guys can book that the company's working on, where that will relieve that problem. So again, sometimes these things happen and the company has to say, how can we solve that issue, right? And there's things that the company's working on where today that's a challenge, but that will not always be a challenge.
Okay, but how we can handle if I go to Las Vegas and then I stay there for 1 week and I want to stay a few days more? How can I book those 2 days? How can I extend my vacation outside of Canada?
Well, one thing, you can just talk to the front desk.
Okay.
Sometimes the front desk will say, okay, we'll extend it for you and give you the same rate. Sometimes you don't even need us. You can go to the front desk and they'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Other times you can try to book and see if it works, right? You can try to book and see if it works. And if it doesn't work and the front desk won't do it, then you'll have to book on a different site, right? That would be the only answer to the question. But again, we're getting outside of the fringe because most people, when they go someplace, they have a starting flight and ending flight. They know exactly how many days they're going to be there. And there's not a lot of people who deviate from that a great deal.
Is there any exception if let's say I move to Spain for 6 months and I want to travel all over the Europe? Is there any exception?
You would just need to contact the home office and tell, hey, my address is now Spain.
Okay.
I don't live there anymore. I now live in Spain.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, they do have a solution they're working on that can remedy this problem. I'm just describing to you how we got here.
Okay. Thank you.
And to remind all of you, at one point we got paid $4,000 a month as an ambassador. Now we get paid $10,000 plus. At one point we didn't have getaways or world tours. And at one point we had to wait 12 months to take a trip. And then, you keep looking at the overall trajectory of the company has been to make it better. But then also sometimes because of outside circumstances and fraud, these kind of things, well, they've had to make it tighter and tighter on how you book. Now, again, they're going to try to solve that issue, right? But you're always kind of dealing with where they're trying to give you more, at the same time guard against things you have to guard against, the fraudsters. And unfortunately, that's a part of our reality today, the people, with the stolen credit cards and fake IDs and identity theft and all these other kind of things that go on, you have to guard against that stuff.
Thank you so much. I think we don't have any. Yeah, thank you, Todd. We do appreciate your time. Thank you for all your answers to our questions. Yeah, and
well, congratulations to all of you. I mean, if you're here sitting for 2 hours listening to me, truly you are hungry for success and want to build a big business, and having to endure this my bloviate, we call it bloviate, right? You go on and on and on and on, right? And so anyway, if you've been here all this time, obviously you're somebody who genuinely wants to succeed in our company. And I salute all of you. If there's anything I can do for any of you, you can contact me. Larissa
We are
can tell you
going to
how.
email you, Todd, from now on, so beware.
Okay. You can email me, you can call me.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else?
No. People just say thank you in
All
chat.
right. Who on here, before we hang up, who on here is coming to the training in Las Vegas, Nevada in July?
We are going to Puerto Vallarta on March.
Oh, you want to Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, we're gonna see you there, Todd.
Absolutely. So I think I'm going there too.
Yeah.
I had to think about it for a moment. Yeah, I'm going there. My wife,
Quite
my
quite a
wife
few.
does all the details of where we're going, right? I'm one of those guys, I'm one of those men smart enough. I just do what she tells me.
Lucky
Even as we
you.
drive the car, I'm on the phone, like talking. She's like pointing. I'm
Lucky you.
smart enough to just do what she tells me to do.
But Las Vegas in July. Why it's July actually? It's
It's July 13th. We're gonna have a huge event there. Huge training with David Hart, our CEO and
It's
founder.
too hot.
Well, not inside. They got air conditioning there. They got swimming pools.
we
Okay,
will
fine.
Las Vegas.
But we're gonna have a gala. We're gonna have a lot of fun, right? Anyway, so ideally, you guys. So I'm gonna ask you guys another question. Who on here plans on being an ambassador in 2024?
Everybody.
Kat?
Guys,
I love that answer.
Obviously.
I got two hands. August, okay, nice. Well, guys, I do want to, for those of you that want to be ambassadors, you generally want to be ambassadors, you guys can take my number down. It's 951-445-9500. You guys can call me, text me. Again, 951-445-9500. Again, 951-445-9500. I'm on WhatsApp. You can call me, you can text me. I'm on Facebook. You can message me. I'm here to help you guys achieve your goals in the company. Obviously, for some of you, we're going to be spending a lot of time together in Puerto Vallarta. And so that's going to be a great time. But for others, if you have challenges, right? I mean, obviously, you don't need anything more than Larissa and Igor. They're unbelievable. They're amazing, right? But again, sometimes they're busy, they're this, they're that. You got a problem. Hey, I'm one of the people that's here to help you. So you can also reach out to me as well. Did I get the number right? It was 951-445.
Yeah, it looks like your picture.
9500. Wait, I'll just put it in the chat. Yes, there it is. I just saw it. I didn't see the chat. Yes, that's right. 951-445-9500. That's correct.
Yeah, one more question in chat from Anastasia. If we
Yeah, she wrote, if you find a cheaper price not on Trevorium, will you recommend send it to Trevorium Sport? Sure. Or you can send it to me. And we forward those things on. Take a look at that. But again, the biggest thing, guys, is that we're not necessarily cheaper on every hotel that you just think of. Again, the key is you go to the city, right? And you say, hey, I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to go to whatever the city is. You put in the date and then you let the system search. Here's who happens to have the deals. It's not that you can't pick some hotel arbitrarily. I want to go to the West End. Well, maybe they're full. They're not giving out any deals because they're already full. Your deals here are no good. Well, that's not true. We had 97 different places where you could have gone for half the price. You picked out the one place where we couldn't save you money. And so again, you got to remember how our system works. And it's designed to accommodate the mass population, meaning the way most people book their travel. They just want a great room at a great price. They're not looking for the suites. They're not so particular. I have to be at this place. Now, maybe there's a wedding there and I want to be at the same place as the wedding. My wife and I went to Tahoe last year and it was one of the lower places we ever had. I think we saved 22%. But we still saved $376, being there at the wedding, right? But we stayed at the same place as the wedding. And there was other places around where we could have saved a lot more money, but that wasn't where the wedding was. So we stayed at the place of the wedding. So on this one, we didn't save as much, right? So, okay. But as you aggregate over time, as I'm booking rental cars and booking this and booking that, Yeah, more often than not, I'm going to get some amazing deals. You're going to show other people how to get amazing deals, and you're not even going to be paying for the membership because you got 3. And now you're going on getaways and world tours and trip incentives and doing all these kind of things for virtually nothing. And people are going to look at you and say, wow, that is so awesome. But again, from time to time, maybe you find a place that's less. That could be true. But again, remember how the system works. Go to the city, put in the date, let the system show you where we have good deals. And by the way, I saw one the other day. I was in Central America, and the date they chose, we didn't have crap there. I mean, it was like 9%, 5%. I mean, there weren't many good deals there. I mean, it's that particular moment. Now, again, is that across the spectrum? No. I could go to 25 cities where it was a great deal, and in that one city, there wasn't, right? And so again, don't let the one exception, get you upset, because that's not the rule. The rule is I check all the different cities, and people are saving huge. So
Thank you so much.
thank you, everybody. Happy weekend. By the way, we're doing a training call tomorrow. If you want to get trained in English, we got Mr. Daryl Roberts. I call him MJ. Michael Jordan, the greatest to ever do it. He'll be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. California time. I'll be on there as well. Tomorrow, also at 12 o'clock California time. That's 3 o'clock East Coast time. We're going to be doing a back office deep dive. We're going to be doing live price comparisons. You can come on and watch us do the price comparisons. We're going to do that at 12 o'clock California time and 1:30 California time. We're doing it back to back, like church. We got a 12 o'clock service. We got a 1:30 service, right? So 12 o'clock California, that's 3 o'clock East Coast, and 1:30 California, 4:30 East Coast. That will be at meetupworldwide.com. I'll put that in the text here. meetupworldwide.com. If you guys want to get the schedule for this, if you go to learnthistraining.com, you go to learnthistraining.com, you can click on the thing that says events and schedule. It's a menu option. You click on that, and every week we post the days we're doing the price comparisons, right? We're doing another one on Sunday, and you guys can invite people and just watch how we do it. We're going to go city by city by city. We're going to pull up world tours. We're going to pull up Expedia. We're going to pull up their price, our price. And when people see it with their own eyes, right? And maybe you guys need to see it. When people see it with their own eyes, it's different than hearing about it. And they're like, wow, hey, can you think of 3 friends might want to save this kind of money in travel? Yeah. Well, if you can get 3, guess what the membership cost you? Nothing. Guess what the travel points cost you? Nothing. And you can turn those travel points into these kinds of trips. So again, tomorrow we got the training in the morning, and then we got 2 different opportunities tomorrow afternoon. If you want to see the live pricing comparisons, we have another one on Sunday. And if you go to learnthistraining.com, just click on the thing. It'll give you the menu, and you guys can tap into that information.
Thank you so much, Todd. We appreciate your time, and thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye, everybody.